Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hola, Timothy Phoenix here, and welcome to my blog, which is all about rising from the flames of adversity to create your dream life using the law of attraction. Today, as you can see, I've got another very special guest with me. This is Christine from Miami, right?
Yes.
And well, Christine is going to tell you about herself. Don't listen to me. Let's hear from Christine. We're in Koh Samui. What are you doing here? Who are you? Tell the guys a bit about yourself.
The lowdown. My name is Christine Lewis. I lead spoken word yoga retreats. I teach a style of yoga that infuses positive affirmations, life coaching, just ways, little seeds to plant to help you to check back into who you want to be and what you want to create on and off the mat. It's a really good place to infiltrate your consciousness while you're stretching out your hips, hamstrings, and shoulders. And so we use the combination of the physical work to help to open up the mind, the body, and the spirit. And spoken word yoga has led yoga retreats around the world, and we're here in Thailand just finishing up the last day of the retreat here before I head off to the next one in Aspen, Colorado in the United States.
Great. And I just met Christine today.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I didn't meet her a bit earlier. I didn't know she was running a yoga retreat. I just thought you were on holiday. But anyway.
Yeah, well.
We just got speaking today, and yeah, you know about the law of attraction.
I do. I make an effort to create everything that exists in my space because I know that the only reality that exists is what we create in our minds, so we might as well put that to work for us and create everything we want. And the irony is what's happening in the physical reality is just a follow-up to whatever we've thought about, whatever we've intended, whatever we've envisioned for ourselves. And if we are thinking, speaking, and acting in a way right now that is in alignment with our dream and our vision for ourselves, it is automatically happening. It's already happening. It's simultaneous with the thought and the word and the action because you're creating the building blocks to get what you want. So if you can close your eyes at night and dream and create a reality, why not do that in the conscious space and put your thoughts to work for you? And know that really our present moment space, our self in this space, is this perfect balance between reflection of who we are, what we've done, what we've created, and who we want to be, the intentions that we set for our life. So if we're consciously creating that for ourselves, we can't help but draw in magic. We can't help but create something from nothing, because in the nothing is this space of infinite possibility. It's just waiting for us to put something in it.
And where did you, because you've been doing this your whole life pretty much, right? So how was it that you got to find out about this law of attraction, or whatever label you want to put on it? Would you give it the label law of attraction, or? Well,
it's the idea that everything is energy. And so you realize that energy, it's not created or destroyed, it's just transferred, it's an exchange. So, I mean, you just think about fundamental physics concepts and think about how everything in the universe is related and everything is interconnected. And when we think about what our action is, what is the legacy we're leaving behind? What is the intent of that action? How are we going to be remembered for that action? Because the only evidence that we exist is the energy that we leave behind. Our emotion is the only evidence that we were ever here in this circumstance, because we take away a memory from every moment. And if we're creating our memories in every moment, when we look back on life, we want to have things that are worthy of replaying over and over again, because that's what we carry with us. That's what we leave behind with people. Nobody ever really remembers what you look like, but they always remember the way you make them feel. They always remember the energy you leave. They always remember your light. So the brighter we shine, the more our collective consciousness is, creating brighter energy, lighter energy. And frankly, we need a lot of light energy.
We do at the minute, yeah. So you said to me, just as we were coming down to this sala, that it was something that you picked up when you were young. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Luckily my mother was a free thinker. My father was too, to a degree, but she definitely led the trail. She was, always very adamant about the fact that no one can create a reality for you. That it doesn't matter what anyone says or does to you, it's your perception of their action that's defining your experience, and you control your perception. So if you control how you perceive everything that's happening in the world, why not translate it or create an idea that it's a positive thing? You know, we all know people that complain, and the longer you listen to them complain, you realize why it is they're unhappy. And if you're constantly focusing on problems, there's no room left for a solution. Two things can't occupy the same space. So how could you create what you want? It's not possible to create what you want if all of your energy is invested in what you don't want. So it's just a clear path of being an objective observer of your own thoughts, so that you realize if you're going down a path of negative thinking, if you're going down a path of judgment or criticism or something that's not serving you, you are able to witness that. And the more time we spend listening to our thoughts, you know, when you close your eyes, you listen to your thoughts, you should figure out who's doing the listening, because that's when you find yourself.
And let's talk about your experiences with the law of attraction. Can you give an example of something that you've consciously manifested yourself? I'm sure you can, but
so everything.
Yeah, everything. But let's have a specific example. What's perhaps the thing that you're most proud of, or that you think was the most spectacular? Or
well, you know, I try to. It's funny because you ask me how I'm feeling, and I always just create an idea that I'm spectacular, because I feel like in every moment there's some gift or some blessing, whether it's deciding to turn right or left, or deciding to stay a few moments and talk at a cafe instead of moving on your journey, and realizing that things are falling into perfect alignment to create at least the physical space for you to manifest what you want. I mean, it takes a lot of conscious action and awareness, but you know, being in the right place at the right time helps a lot. And I think when we follow our energy, we follow our intuition, we follow our instinct, inevitably we get there. So every day there's something that's happening, whether it's me just setting an intention to wake up at a certain time in the morning, whether it's setting the intention to be open to making eye contact with strangers and smiling. I've gotten in so many conversations with random strangers just by making eye contact and smiling.
That's what happens.
And it's just being in the present space. So I think that the harnessing our power in the present moment, the power that we have to create a perception of the world where everything is an offering to us, and that we are an offering to everyone else. Because in that space, we're giving what we want to create. And so we start to bring that into our space. So several times, just one time at the airport recently, this was after a yoga retreat I was leading in Sedona, Arizona. One of the retreat participants were in the big 15-passenger van. I had my big luggage, which certainly was overweight because I had brought a lot of things back from Sedona, and never pack a black suitcase. Everyone has a black suitcase. The retreat participant got out of the back of the van, took my black suitcase instead of hers, left me with her smaller, slightly smaller and underweight black suitcase. Because the moment I rolled it out, we got out of the van, I knew it wasn't mine, and she had already checked in for her flight, wound up checking in, taking my bag to Boston. I took her bag to Miami. The irony of it is she wound up coming 2 weeks later to retrieve her bag, bring my bag back, and we wound up creating this connection where she was going through a very rough time in her life, and I was able to help her. She was able to give me some advice about business things that I needed, and we had an amazing exchange that grew out of this, you know, shift in luggage that never would happen under normal circumstances. There are so many times where you meet people who are just the gateway into another part of your life that would never have happened had you not had that interaction. So being open to realizing that people are in your space for a reason, that you're in the space you're in for a reason, and also that that space is temporary. So take advantage of it now. And even if it's a hard and difficult place, that struggle is just meant to strengthen you for the next thing. So it's finding the gratitude in whatever it is that you're doing, finding an appreciation for the lessons that we have in this life, and knowing that even when things are on this downturn, that's giving you the momentum for the upturn. So it's allowing a free flow of energy in everything. The things that are challenging, the things that are confrontational, just knowing that that confrontation is somehow preparing you for something that's opening you up into the abundance you deserve. And it's having that mindset that everything is a blessing and a gift, and living in that space, because what else are we here to do? I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to work on myself, because I feel like at the end of the day, we spend more time with ourselves than we do with anyone else. So you want to have a really good relationship with yourself, and what better way to do that than create a delusional reality if you need to. I always say that you're better off being delusionally happy than realistically miserable, because the realistic misery isn't creating anything for you. So I always have tricks that I play in my mind. I don't watch TV or anything like that, because I fear I have enough going on in here. I can entertain myself all day. So if I'm standing in line or doing something that I don't particularly want to do, I just create a vision in my mind of doing something else, and I just find myself in that vision. So I transport myself to different places all the time out of convenience. And in that space of being able to create a laboratory in your mind where you really can manifest and outline what you want, and then live it, breathe it, think it, do it in the moment, then it becomes your existence, and that's who you are. And who cares what's happening in the physical space? I always even think of Nelson Mandela said that when he was in prison, he never felt that he was in prison. He felt sorry for the guards because they knew they were in prison, because they were coming in and coming out. But in his mind, he was free. And regardless of where your physical space is, you're free, as long as you allow yourself that freedom. And as long as you don't lock yourself into a label or a definition or a construct that somebody else has created for you. In that space, you're free. And we should take advantage of that. And play a little in the playground of the mind.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Do you do anything like vision boards, or... Oh, you do them?
Love vision boards.
Okay.
I have my closet, the back wall of my closet at home are like different, because I don't want to throw away any of the old vision boards, but I put the new ones in front. And then I journal every day. I think journaling is such a good way to have an objective view of yourself. It's such a good way to outline what you want and make what you want tangible. Writing it down with pen and paper, by hand, not on computer or text, like writing something down so you feel every stroke, so you're in this space where what's coming through you is just flowing as energy onto a pen and paper. And in that space, you wind up being able to create everything. And if you really start a conscious journaling practice, you start to figure things out a lot faster. You're able to evaluate what's working for you and what isn't. You're able to then also project into a more clearly defined vision of what you actually want. Because it's not, we all think we know what we want, but it takes a little thinking. It's you got to figure out what you really, 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 really want. You got to go really, deep to get there. Because everybody at first thinks it's some superficial thing we want, but it's never the thing we want. It's the feeling we think the thing is going to bring us. That's what we want. So bypass the thing and go straight for the feeling. It just makes life easier. And then you live in this space where you're constantly in abundance. You already have what you want. You're not wanting for anything in the external, because you're creating it in the internal. So I already have everything I want, and at least for right now, in this moment, in this breath, and that's sustaining me. What I have next week is a whole different story. But we're not there yet, so why get there if we haven't made it in the physical space?
What have you manifested on the vision board recently?
Travel, always. Travel and the broadening of my brand. So I started out teaching yoga classes just locally. I'm a geologist by trade. I specialize in sedimentology and tectonics, so I've traveled around the world doing research projects, and am able to explain very complicated scientific projects in a way that most people can understand. So concepts that require a vision, require some sort of, getting an animation almost in your mind, being able to explain something to someone so they can visually have an idea of what processes have occurred to create what exists right now. So the same thing works for life and for manifesting your dreams, in the same way that you might explain, how the earth is changing over time. Well, you explain how we're changing over time. You explain how connections and interactions are ebbing and flowing to create this, space of reality. So the vision board especially, I think, is such a good way. The journaling is such a good way, because you put something down that's tangible, that gets you already in a space of reality about what it is, you wanted in the first place. And, just putting that intention to work for you. And then just knowing that it's your thoughts and words and your actions that are backing that up and supporting it. It makes it easy to act accordingly. And it's also easier to see when you're not in alignment with that. If you're going against something that, is your authentic self, it immediately feels uncomfortable. You immediately know. So just avoiding those patches, where the universe is guiding you in some way and just being open to that guidance without feeling a need to rationalize it or question it or explain it to anybody, even though I'm trying.
Well, actually, that leads neatly on to my next question. And the last question I want to ask you is, how do you explain it? What is it, the law of attraction? How would you describe it? You had to describe it to, well, you have got to describe it now.
Yes, now I'm not put on the spot.
What would you say it is exactly?
It's the ability to consciously put your energy, your emotion, your effort into creating a life, creating what you want for yourself, and allowing a space where the connection you create with yourself is opening you up to connections with other people, to connections with the universe, to connections with, so it's people that are distracted from themselves, people that find it difficult to spend time with themselves, people that feel like they need an external distraction, very often use that because the self is there's something so deep in there that they're either fearful or hesitant to get to know. And I think that if you can get to a space where you can just be in the one breath and the one moment, to allow yourself to know that what you're creating right now in this breath is the beginning of the rest of your life. And when I was working on my global vision to share spoken word yoga, I had no idea how it was going to happen. I knew I wanted to reach 1 billion people around the world and offer them positive affirmations and access to yoga flows on demand. How that was going to happen, I even knew 1 billion people I don't think is a whole lot of people. It's a small fraction of the population. 1 billion, but how am I going to reach them? I'm not tech savvy, I'm not computer savvy. I wound up just running into a gentleman who was an investor at a show, at a yoga conference I was teaching at in Las Vegas. He recommended me to meet one of his friends in Los Angeles. She works on a global text messaging service that sends text messages out across the world with content and data, and said, oh, you would be great for this. Now, I would never in my mind have been able to conceive of a global text messaging service that would send my audio recordings to people's phones around the world. But that's the way to get 1 billion people. So all I started off with was an intention to get to 1 billion people around the world. And from that, I now have a global text messaging service where I have subscribers all around the world who are receiving 1 to 2 minute positive affirmations every morning. They receive audio yoga flows. I do a Raja deep stretch where they just lie on the floor and I say do nothing, but you're really accessing everything because you just let gravity do the work. And vinyasa flows, so you can be at your beach or your office or traveling and listen to a yoga flow and get your yoga wherever you are. And that was the vision that I created, having no idea of how that was possibly going to happen, but knowing that it would happen. So just putting my energy into what I was teaching in my classes, what I was offering to people, the yoga retreats I was leading, and then everything just falls into place where people come into your space and give offerings that bring you to the next space. So just being very clear that defining or explaining law of attraction is your ability to believe in your power and believe in the fact that what you create your mind right now is already the beginning of something. And that something can be what you want or it can be what you don't want. So why not make it your dreams?
I couldn't have asked for anything better than that. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed listening to that because I haven't really spoken with Christine about this, so we've literally just met very recently.
Yes.
So I'm learning here as well as we're going along. But that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming along.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You.
And this is a good example of kind of opportunity and connection, which is a lot of what Christine was talking about there. Mm-hmm. You know, the universe finds a way somehow, whatever that power is out there, it finds a way to bring people into your life. It's whether you can see that opportunity and take that chance to talk to the person, introduce yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
you never know who around you has got opportunities waiting for you. And the more I think about this, the more I believe that actually pretty much everyone who's around...
I was about to suggest everyone who's around you has the potential to offer you something. That's why they're there. That's why you're there. So what are you offering to the world? What am I going to create today? Because what I create today is my legacy. And all I'll ever be remembered for is the energy, the emotion that I leave behind.
We talk a lot about coincidence, and I don't believe it's a coincidence anymore that these people are here. But it's which one do you talk to, who do you connect with? That's down to you. So you've still got free will, you know, whatever happens is down to you at the end of the day. But the people that are around you, the opportunities that are around you, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that power is presenting them to you all the time.
All the time. And even in our space, it's funny you said we just met, but literally we just met and I have a flight to catch in about 15 minutes to leave to the airport. So had we not spoken when we did, had we not come together in that space, and literally I just walked up and we happened to run into each other and said, oh, this would be a really good time for us to do this. I was like, oh, great, I don't have to leave for the airport for another 30 minutes. And how this all works out in divine timing.
Yeah, it does. But you've got to be able to spot and be aware of the opportunity. Otherwise,
and take advantage.
Yeah, and take advantage. Take a little risk. Thank you so much for coming along. Really appreciate it. I know you've got to go, so I'm going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, timothyphoenix.com, Instagram, timothy.phoenix. You got an Instagram account?
Spoken Word Yoga. Spoken Word Yoga on Instagram, spokenwordyoga.com. Come along for a retreat or download my positive affirmations and get a little taste of little love, joy, and bliss every morning.
Come check out what she's manifested.
Yes. And manifest it along with me, so we do it together. Collective consciousness changes the world.
Thank you so much. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll be back with another video soon. Don't forget to like and share and comment. I really want to hear from you guys because, as we're saying, connection is everything. So come and connect with me. Let's see what can happen from that. Hasta luego.
Blessings and blessings.